The address changed 3 times before I even left my apartment. I didn't think much of it at first. Plans change. People forget details. That's normal. But something about the way it happened didn't feel like forgetting. It felt like adjusting. It started simple. Someone I'd been talking to for a few weeks on one of those community-based apps. Not dating. Just local interest groups, meetups, that kind of thing. They seemed normal. Responses were measured. Conversation was easy. They invited me to a casual group hangout at a coffee shop downtown. I confirmed the night before. Got the address. Saved it. Then, about an hour before I was supposed to leave, the message came. Hey, change of plans, different spot. Sending the new address now. New address was farther out. Still public. A bar I'd heard of. Fine. I didn't leave yet. Something made me wait. 20 minutes later. Actually, scratch that. My friend knows a better place. More low-key. I stared at the screen for a second. Low-key? That word sat wrong. The original plan was a coffee shop. We were going low-key from a coffee shop? I typed back, "Who else is coming tonight?" The typing indicator appeared. Stayed there for almost a full minute. Then it disappeared. I waited. Nothing. Then, just a small group. You'll see when you get there. Lo, that LOL felt placed. Like it was there to make the answer seem lighter than it was. I asked again, "How many people?" This time the reply was almost instant. Too instant for someone who just took a minute to respond to basically the same question. Like 4 or 5. Chill. You're overthinking. I hadn't said I was overthinking. I asked a number. I told them I needed the final address before I left. They sent one. No name for the place. Just a pin dropped in a neighborhood I didn't know well. I opened the map. Residential street. Not a bar, not a coffee shop. I typed. This looks like a house. It is low, my friend's place. More comfortable than going out. 3 location changes. From coffee shop to bar to someone's house I'd never heard of. And every single redirection happened after I confirmed I was coming. That's when it stopped making sense. I said I wasn't feeling well, that I'd have to skip tonight. The response was immediate. You're already almost here, right? Just come for a bit. I hadn't told them where I was. I hadn't left yet. I was still sitting in my apartment. I didn't respond. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared 4 times over the next few minutes. Then silence. Then, about an hour later, a single message. Missed you tonight. I never went. I don't know where I would have ended up. I don't know if there was a group, a friend, any of it. But what I do know is this. Someone, somewhere that night, was waiting. And they seemed to know I was close. The thing is, I'd video called them before. That's what made it so confusing. We'd met on one of those interest-based platforms. Mutual hobby, that's all. We'd been talking for about a month. At some point, they suggested a video call, just to actually meet. It was casual. 20 minutes maybe? They were calm, articulate, had this quiet kind of humor. I felt comfortable with them, so when they suggested meeting in person, it didn't seem strange. Coffee, afternoon, busy area. Normal. I got there first. Sat down, ordered something. Waited. Someone walked over and said my username. I looked up. I said yes, and I spent the next 40 minutes trying to figure out what was wrong. It wasn't that they looked different. People look different on camera. Lighting, angles, resolution. That's not it. It was the way they moved, the way they talked. The rhythm was off. On the call, they spoke in complete thoughts, measured. On the app, they were funny in a very specific, dry way. I'd laughed at their messages, genuinely. This person didn't land a single one of those beats. Not once. They referenced our conversations, correctly. They knew details, the right details, but the delivery was wrong. Like someone who had studied the notes but never lived the material. I tested it, gently. I brought up something from early in our conversations, something small and specific. A joke they'd made and the context it came from. They smiled and nodded, but they didn't remember the punchline. They redirected, smoothly, too smoothly. And then I noticed the phone. They kept it face down on the table. Every few minutes, they'd glance at it without picking it up. Just a glance. Then back to me. Once, when I looked away, I caught it in my peripheral. The screen had lit up. They covered it with their hand before I could see anything. I excused myself to use the bathroom. When I came back, they were typing. Fast. They stopped the moment they saw me. I sat back down. I asked, conversationally, what kind of phone they had. They named a model. It was different from the one I'd seen them holding briefly during our video call. I didn't say anything. We finished the conversation. Said goodbye. Perfectly pleasant. Nothing overtly wrong. I walked to my car and sat there for a while. Then I went back through our old messages. Every one of them. Looking for something I couldn't name. And I found it. 3 weeks in, there was a gap. 16 hours where the tone had shifted slightly. I hadn't noticed in the moment. Messages after that gap were still consistent. Still them. But there was something different underneath. A little more careful. A little more precise. Like whoever was typing had needed to recalibrate. I don't know what happened. I don't know if there were two people. I don't know if I met the right person or the wrong one. I don't know if the one I video called was even real. What I do know is that the person I sat across from knew exactly who I was, and I have no idea who they were. I want to be clear. Nothing violent happened. Nothing illegal as far as I can prove. That's part of why this still bothers me. Because I should have been able to just leave. It started with a group chat on an app I used for local community stuff. Neighborhood updates, event announcements, that kind of thing. Someone added me to a smaller subgroup. Said it was for people in my area interested in a community project they were organizing. I didn't recognize most of the usernames, but I didn't think much of that. It's a neighborhood app. People use handles. First few days were normal. General discussion. Plans for a meetup. I mostly just read along. Then someone messaged me directly. Just to say they'd seen my comments and thought I had good ideas. Thanked me for being engaged. It felt nice, genuine. Over the next week, they kept checking in. Not intrusively, just present. Asking my thoughts on things, including me. By the time they asked if I'd come to the first in-person meeting, I felt like I already knew these people a little. It seemed low stakes. Community meeting. Public library conference room. I went. There were 6 people, including the person who'd been messaging me directly. They introduced themselves. Used a first name I had no way to verify. Seemed warm. The meeting was normal. Too normal, maybe. Lots of talk. No concrete outcomes. But fine. They asked me to come back the following week. I said sure. Second meeting. Same room. A few new faces. This time there was more direction. They were very focused on getting commitments. Who could help? What skills people had. They asked me specifically, in front of everyone, what I could offer. I gave a vague answer. They didn't push, but they wrote something down. Third meeting. I almost didn't go. I was tired. I sent a message saying I might not make it. The response came fast. We really need you there tonight. We've been building around your involvement. I hadn't committed to anything specific. I said that. You've been part of this from the beginning. People are counting on you. I remember reading that and feeling something I couldn't name immediately. I went. I don't know why. Something about not wanting to disappoint people who'd been kind to me. By the 4th meeting, the dynamic had shifted. They were asking for access, not to anything alarming on its own. A shared document, a group calendar, my contact information for a project directory. Each ask was small. Each one was framed as normal. Each one came surrounded by warmth and inclusion. But I noticed I stopped questioning them. I noticed I'd started rearranging my schedule around the meetings without being asked. I noticed that when I'd tried to express a concern once, the room had gone quiet in a way that made me apologize. I apologized for expressing a concern. One night I didn't go, didn't message first, just didn't show up. My phone lit up that night. Multiple times, not aggressive, checking in, saying they missed me, saying things had come up at the meeting they needed to talk to me about, saying the group wasn't the same without me. I turned my phone over, and then I sat there realizing I was hiding from a community volunteer group. I left the chat the next morning, all of them. Within an hour, I got a message from an account I didn't recognize. No username I'd seen before. We hope you're doing okay. The door is always open. I don't know how they knew I'd left. Notifications, probably. Logical explanation. I've told myself that. I don't use that app anymore. But here's the part I keep coming back to. At the very first meeting, before anything felt wrong, someone had mentioned they'd recognize me. Said they'd seen me at a place I go regularly. A specific place. And they described what I'd been doing there. I didn't remember seeing any of them. I thought it was coincidence. A friendly detail. The kind of thing that makes a community feel small and connected. I think about that now differently. I think they knew who I was before I ever joined that group. I think the invitation wasn't random. I think they knew exactly which kind of person I was. The kind who'd feel guilty leaving. The kind who wouldn't make a scene. The kind who apologizes. I just don't know what they wanted. That's the part I can't answer. And somehow, that's worse than if I did. If you made it this far, you already know this kind of thing doesn't end cleanly. Neither do I. Subscribe if you want to hear what comes next.